leaves 10 dead. Addis Ababa, now the news in detail. About 107 Ethiopian political parties have signed a code of conduct that will guide their operations. Chairperson of EPRDF and Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, also signed the document representing his party. Here is Olkaba Ondemo for the detail.
About 107 Ethiopian political parties have signed code of conduct that will guide their operations. Chairperson of the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front and Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, have signed the code of conduct representing his party. It also said that the signing of this common code of conduct will further confirms the opening up of political space in Ethiopia and government's commitment to ensure fair, free and inclusive election. Accordingly, the code of conduct will guide the political parties' relationships, and the General Assembly and Council are tasked to settle disputes among political parties. It was noted that the signed code of conduct has consisted 20 articles and 3 chapters. Heads of different political parties and councils of the Assembly have shown their interest on the document signed. They also expressed their commitments and vote to play their part in the building of democracy in Ethiopia. On the event, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, said that they will be remembered as a special move in Ethiopian politics. On the ceremony, more than 100 contesting political parties have participated. This is a great change and shows our commitment at the government. There are many politicians and heads of political parties who are in jail a year ago. This is a great achievement that you are participated. This promised code of conduct should manage all of us equally. Ethics is our cultural base in Ethiopia, so you all should keep this in your mind. The Prime Minister also underlined that politicians should entertain ideal competitions. The role and competition of politicians should be ideally. If so, they can lead and transform the country into a next chapter. Today, most of African countries want to be where we are. You all have paid a lot to overcome the past challenges and to register today's liberty. The Premier also noted that all contesting political parties should build their parties with strong and sufficient enough intellectuals. He also assured government's full support in what's needed from them. The agreement have been signed in the presence of heads of civil society organizations and renowned public figures.
Residents of Lalibela town and its environs have appreciated the initiative taken by the federal government to renovate the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. Muktaraji has compiled their opinions.
The government is doing what was not even done by all former governments to repair our rock-hewn church. We are too happy with our Prime Minister to keep his promise to maintain the church per his visit last October. Public and different government structures were shouted a lot in seeking of maintenance for rock-hewn church in the last years, but no one was accountable to the public questions. Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed has visited the church with less than 6 months after taking the office and promised to repair it along with the government of France. The beginning is very interesting and we are very happy with the blessed performance of our Prime Minister. Previously, when the Prime Minister came here, it was difficult to express the emotional feeling of the surrounding people due to trampling of the church. We're happy with the commitment of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed to maintain the rock-hewn church as per his promise. In my part, the visit of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed and President of France, Emmanuel Macron, to the church by itself is very great. This shows that how the Prime Minister is being accountable to his promise toward his people.
Abiy Ahmed ለብዙ ጊዜ ህዝብን ከህዝብ ጋራ መርቆሮስን አባታችንም አምጥቶልን ለዚህ ስላበቃልን እኛም በደስታ በጣም ከሱ ጋራ ከሱ በስተኋላም ለመሆንም
Dr. Abiy Ahmed has been negotiating people with people and nation with nation, which make him unique in our country and even Africa. Thus, we are always ready to be by the side of him in the development endeavors of this country.
The Oromia Transport Authority disclosed that it has been working to equip the sector with digital technologies to reduce traffic accidents. The authority has evaluated its performance. Olma Bain has more on this.
Head of the Oromia Road Authority, Assistant Professor Maharatu Shanko talked to OBN in an exclusive interview concerning the second quarter work performance of the sector. Assistant Professor Maharatu said the traffic accidents of this year in the region is reduced when compared to that of last year.
Baay'ee hir'ateera jechuudha. Keessumaa lubbuu namaatiin yoo lakkaa'ame naannoo lubbuu 77 hir'atee jira. Isa kanaan dura gahaa turerraa jechuudha. Kanaaf
more than 77% life is saved compared to that of last year. So the performance of this quarter is better. Assistant Professor Muratu noted that the authority has been working to support the problem investigation process of the sector with scientific research. Simply concluding that accidents happen due to high speed or driver's problem is not right. It has to be identified based on research. For instance, in the developed countries like Sweden, they allocate more than $3 million to investigate one traffic accident. But in our country, only 30,000 is paid as compensation for a person died of car accident. He further noted that there are limitations of using technologies that are imported to minimize car accidents across the region. We have started technologies like SMS, alcohol tester, and a warning light. These are very effective, but mentality reform has to be restored and enhanced. Marato underscored that the government has been working to fight rent-seeking approach from the lower levels up to the higher ones in the sector. Transportation process from district up to bureau has its own problem. Third parties have been moving around this area to facilitate rent-seeking process. Previously, there was a habit of being rich in displacement way. So when we started to confront this situation, it takes time to be heard, but we never regret whatever challenges are there.
European Commission urged to consider removing Ethiopia from list of high-risk third countries. The government of Ethiopia has urged the European Commission to consider removing the country from the list of high-risk third countries. And Fakad Branu has the story.
In a statement issued on March 13, 2019, the Prime Minister's office called upon the European Union Commission to urgently review the high-risk third countries listing. Since 2018, the new administration of the government of Ethiopia is taking important steps to effectively prevent money laundering and terrorist financing. Reaffirming its commitment to fully address this challenge, the government has introduced sweeping changes to the financial and the judicial system to respond to strategic deficiencies, especially evident due to Ethiopia's geopolitical position in the Horn. Ethiopia is vulnerable to bank frauds, cybercrime, and money laundering effectuated by transnational criminals. Therefore, the new administration of the government of Ethiopia has been strictly controlling and monitoring informal value transfer network and operations and has implemented stringent financial sanctions against perpetrators. The government has also enhanced international cooperation with the European Union and other member state countries in strengthening the competency of relevant authorities such as the Financial Intelligence Center, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Cooperation, and the Attorney General Office. The government is also increasing the reporting of suspicious transactions to relevant international bodies as needed. Bearing these activities in mind, we urge the European Commission to consider removing Ethiopia from the list of high-risk third countries, taking into account corrective measures that have been implemented, our proven commitment to combat terrorism and money laundering, and the limitations of the report in the first place. Ethiopia is cognizant of the seriousness of the European Commission report and is committed to fighting against money laundering and terrorism financing on its home front. At the same time, Ethiopia would like to challenge the report and its limitation to name jurisdictions that are directly or indirectly playing a role in fostering illegal trends by creating a safe haven for perpetrators, investigating and calling out these countries that facilitate these corrupt pathways, from Africa and other nations is a very crucial and timely task for the European Commission to undertake. Holding all wrongdoers equally accountable not only sets an example for other international institutions, but also increases the credibility of the European Commission report. Hence, we would like to call upon the European Commission to take the lead in organizing efforts to combat corruption, money laundering, and terrorism financing by taking a stand on unfair practices used by financial institutions globally. There are international efforts that are assisting African countries to recover and return stolen funds and transactions that support terrorism. However, these efforts are too early to bear meaningful results and have a long way to go. Many Western financial centers and governments are yet to join these efforts. The Ethiopian government would like to express its commitment to work with the European Commission in being vigilant to uphold the integrity of our financial systems. We also call upon the European Commission to call out, monitor, and hold accountable various jurisdictions that have immensely significant economic ties with the European Commission and with potentially negative systematic efforts on our global financial systems.
Public conference that focused on current situation of the country was held in Shashamane town. Thomas Gemulato has more on this.
Public mobilization conference, which evaluates 6 months performance of Shashamane town and West Arsizzon, has been held in Shashamane town. Residents of the town and town administration have taken part on the conference. The report of West Arsizzon revealed that many encouraging works have been done in agriculture and education sectors and in creating job opportunities for citizens. According to the report presented, in combating the problems of legal construction and the delays of projects need special attention. In Shashamane town, more than 44 development projects are underway, from which 32 of them were completed in the past 6 months. Participants of the conference have raised various questions on the report and the current situation of the country. Finfinne City is the center of Oromia. We have been saying this, but it should be practical. State Minister of Urban Development and Construction, Kason Gofe, while responding to the question raised, had to say the following.
Finfinne matashi ummata Oromoo urgaa'uu danda'u qabdi. Uummanni Oromoo keessa galee.
Finfinne City should benefit the Oromo people in every aspect. Even it should be the center of culture and value of the Oromo people. It is beyond special benefit and border demarcation for ODP. Participants have also raised the problem of good governance observed in their area. There are some cabinet members who think, as previous ones, why the government is failed to take the necessary measure on these individuals. As our zone, we fired about 220 individuals who have committed different problems.
Waan qabatamaa irratti hundoofne rakkoowwan hawaasa keenya irraa ka'an ka'umsa godhannee marii hawaasa keenyatiin gabbisne.
We're working with maximum effort to solve the public problems based on tangible evidence and through discussing with them.
Ethiopian Airlines black box sent to Paris for investigation. An Ethiopian delegation has flown the black box of the Ethiopian Airlines plane to Paris, France for investigation. An Ethiopian delegation led by Accident Investigation Bureau has flown the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder to Paris, France for investigation, the company said on its official Twitter account. The team hopes the investigation will reveal the causes behind the fatal Nairobi-bound flight that killed 157 people on Sunday. A spokesperson of the airlines was quoted by Reuters as saying there was no capacity in Ethiopia to handle the investigation, and it was believed that either the United States or European country offered possible solutions. The investigation comes at a crucial time for Boeing, as questions mount over the safety of the 737 MAX planes, its best-selling model, prompting several countries, including the United States, to suspend operations of the model. The manufacturer itself has grounded its entire fleet of 371 aircraft following the discovery of new evidence at the scene, CGTN reported. The news comes to you live from Oromian Broadcasting Network, and let's proceed to the news that we have got from Nigeria. At least 10 people have died and many more are feared trapped after a building containing a school collapsed in the Nigerian city of Lagos. The school, which was on the top floor of the four-story building in the Itafaji or Lagos Highland, had more than 100 pupils, a risk official told the BBC. About 40 pupils had been pulled out alive. The official said the building had been identified as a distressed and listed for demolition, Lagos building officials told the BBC. The collapse happened at about 10 local time. There were frantic scenes at the site as rescuers and local men searched for survivors, and family members crowded the area in the hope of finding their loved ones alive. The collapsed building was a residential block containing a number of apartments as well as the school. Residents and the rescue officials at the scene told the BBC. Emergency teams pulled several injured people from the rubble, but many worried parents at the scene were unable to find their children, while others went to local hospital to look for theirs. The Lagos State Building Control Agency confirmed to the BBC that the building had been marked and listed for demolition. It's not unusual for buildings to collapse in Nigeria. Materials are often substandard and the enforcement of regulations is lax, the BBC reported. That brings us to the end for this news edition. Thank you for watching and have a nice time with the remaining OBN programs.